Hi, and welcome to SolarTechDIY.com. This is Patrick speaking. I'm going to demonstrate how to connect the third and fourth strings in this solar panel by soldering bus wire across the end runs. Now, what's an end run, you might ask? Hopefully you've already seen this, but what I'm holding down with my left hand and then manipulating with the probe in the right is the tabbing wire protruding from on top, sun-facing side of the string that I'm working on. So that would be a negative end run. So remember, if it comes from the top of the solar cell, it's negative. Now how can we remember that? Let's come up with an acronym. Remember the word ton. The first letter, T, stands for the top, the O, of, and then the N, negative. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but ton. Remember the front is ton. The front weighs a ton. The front looks like it weighs a ton. But that's your catchphrase, your trick to remember, negative and positive. Now the back is positive. So one way to remember that is British Petroleum, BP, back positive, British Petroleum, ton, BP, ton, BP. So this is like a subliminal message tape. Anyway, when you connect end runs, as we're doing here, you are series wiring these two strings. Now remember, we had made our comparison of solar strings to a battery compartment. All of us have dealt with battery operated appliances in the past, whether it's a radio, blood pressure cuff, testing devices, AM radios we used to take to the beach, walkie-talkies, communication devices. Think about when you've added batteries to something that's required more than one battery. When you take the cover off and look down into the battery compartment, you see batteries stacked inside the compartment in inverse order. So the positive will be facing down, then the next positive will be facing up, the next one down, up. And what that's doing is that's allowing the electricity to flow in series from the positive of one battery to the negative of the next. And actually in batteries, electricity flows from the negative out through the negative in through the positive. So batteries, and that's a good example, flashlights. When you remove the cover from a flashlight, usually it's on the end opposite the lamp, and you dump your used batteries out, and how do they come out? They all come out facing the same way, which means they're stacked, opposite polarities are touching. So as you load the first battery in, the positive goes down first, which means the negative is facing up. You're going to drop the next battery in, same direction as you did the first one, and when that battery lands on the first one that's already in the battery, its positive bulbous end will be resting on the negative polarity, the back side of the battery that's already in there. So we're having negative to positive, negative to positive. And what that allows the volts inside the batteries to do is to serve an additive function. So typically 1.5 volt batteries dropped into a flashlight in series. If you have 4 batteries, you're at 1.5 volts per battery. So it's a 6 volt battery, or essentially it's a 6 volt power pack. Same thing is in play here. Think of these solar strings as batteries. If you can, in your mind's eye, convert it into batteries. So if you start on the left side of your solar module as you're laying your strings down into the substrate, all you got to remember is that the end runs as they sit on your substrate have to alternate. So for example, the one we're working on right here, You see the tabbing wires coming off the back. And what's our acronym? Um, BP, British Petroleum. It's the back of the cell, so it's positive. So as we work on these tabbing wires, these are the end run for the positive string, or the positive side of this string. And immediately to the right, we just connected it to the negative polarity of the string next to it. So hopefully that makes a little more sense to you. And as an added step I take, which you should take also, I mark right on the frame what needs to be laying at that, or what needs to be pointing at that specific spot. And as you can see, not so clearly on the left side, you see my positive hash marks. You see the negative, which is currently blocked, but there you go. Then you see, if you go the third string to the right, you see the positive. And look what I'm doing right here. Just as when we're soldering our solar cells as individuals, creating pairs, just as when you use the flux pen for that function, you're also using it for this task. One of the things that rosin flux pen does is it removes oxidation, so that when you perform your solder, it's nice and clean. There's no impurities. It's going to be a very good bond. And the reason I like connecting the end runs is that it's very easy to work with. You have a lot of room. I have the space to carefully tuck the tabbing wire under the bus bar. And this particular probe is an excellent tool for this purpose. If you look at the forked end that I'm manipulating the tabbing wire with, that device is made to grasp the small tabbing wire, and by a little flick of the wrist you can twist it. So I'm just trying to wrap it around the bus bar. It doesn't have to be, because the solder is going to provide a very tight grip, but by wrapping it, you're just providing a little bit extra hold. Okay, so it takes just 4 solders. You just connect the tabbing wire from one string to the tabbing wire in the next. Make sure they're opposite polarity. You do use your rosin flux pen. Once you apply the rosin flux, apply the solder tip with the trigger depressed. It heats up the bus wire, and all I do is place the solder wire onto the superheated bus wire. It melts the solder and connection is made. Okay, thank you for watching. Hopefully you're this far along in your project. We are almost done with this solar panel. Good job. Thanks for watching. We'll see you when we connect the bus tabs. Thank you.